Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another episode. So, as I mentioned in the previous one, given the very mild winter conditions in southern Russia, I decided to exploit this to let von Kleist launch his own winter, let's say, counteroffensive against the Red Army. And surprisingly and unexpectedly, the Soviets did launch their own winter counteroffensive, which basically consisted in using three marine divisions and using them to launch an amphibious operation against Tallinn in German-occupied Estonia. And because at the time I didn't know that there were just three marine divisions, I said, oh my god, the Soviets are coming. I sent north the whole army, I think it was the 7th Army of General Friedrich Stolman. And in the meantime, von Kleist was just enjoying, let's say, unleashing his troops deeper and deeper into the Caucasus. And let's say, to speed things up, at some point I was pausing the game, issuing manual orders, and then just let the Panzers advance, and of course let the recording resume. One of you may have asked, I think one of you asked me in the previous episode, why didn't I use the frontline movement? So in this case, this is because of an in-game limitation. If you already have a field marshal line, like the ones that I'm using now, you cannot have an army, let's say, frontline. So I either could have used my field marshal order, or I could have done something that I did right now. So I was micromanaging with my panzer divisions, and then I would just let's say, allowing the AI to fill the gaps of the front line by just letting the motorized infantry follow in behind the panzers. Now, it was too good to be true, but at some point, well, the Soviets basically declared war on Iran together with the Allies, but that was too late, because in March 1942, Stalin basically surrendered. And that was really the fastest capitulation of the Soviet Union I have ever achieved in any, seriously, any game. And I mean, I really, I don't know what to say at this point. I was like, oh my god, everything happened so quickly that I was really shocked, and I'm still shocked right now while I am preparing the speech for this episode. And yeah, I don't know what happened. And yeah, anyway, I was really happy because let's say, conquering the Soviet Union meant a lot of resources, a lot of industry, not so much manpower, and also of course a lot of resistance that I had to let's say, suppress with my strong suppression division. And because the Allies were now at war with Iran, I was like, I need to save Iran to prevent the Allies from marching into Russia from the Persian area. And so I said, okay, let's move only the panzer groups this time. Let's move von Kleist panzer group along the border with Iraq, and let's move Hot and von Manstein's panzer groups along the border with India, with the British Raj. And because I noticed that the panzer divisions were actually the fastest units, I was like, okay, I want to use those divisions as the, let's say, the breaking through and exploitation divisions, while the mechanized and the motorized infantry would have just followed up to free, to fill the gaps left open by the panzers. And you may have noticed that I deleted the front line of von Kleist army, panzer group, sorry. And that's because I noticed that the AI was just reshuffling up and down my freaking divisions, and yeah, that's also why I decided not to rely on the AI for this specific phase of the offensive, because I was like, I want to use my panzer divisions to just rush northwestward to, as always, trap as many allied divisions in British occupied Iran, and I didn't want the AI to just mess up with the plans, because trust me guys, the AI is really good in messing up with your front lines, despite all the improvements in the latest patches. Again, at some point I might have overstretched a bit my front lines, and I had to stop the, let's say, the race towards the Mediterranean Sea, because on one hand I didn't have enough troops, on the other hand the vanguards of von Kleist Panzergroup were just they basically ran out of steam, and I had to really stop the advance, just let my unit rest, and then a couple of days, and then just resume the offensive to trap the Allied troops in northeastern Iraq. The operation was a great success, as always. I was only afraid that the Allies might have counterattacked from the south, and because I noticed that the Allies were moving troops, more and more troops along the new border, let's say, and yeah, I was basically afraid of an Allied counterattack. The counterattack never came, and I was really relieved to see that. Also because if on one hand the Allies never launched a serious counterattack in Iraq, they had, I think, bigger problems in India. So in India, the Allies AI did manage to actually isolate a bunch of panzer divisions of HOT's Panzergroup, and even managed to capture a port. So I was like, what am I doing here? But again, you know, it's the AI, so by exploiting the superior speed of my panzers, I not only cut off the bunch of divisions, of Indian divisions, which were trying to advance into Iran, but I also managed to restore the front line. And in that case, I decided to set up the frontline orders to just let HOT and von Manstein's panzer groups freely advance into India. I did bring some more troops on the, I would say, Iraq frontline, namely the 3 Marine divisions that I freshly trained in Germany and quickly redeployed in the Iraqi desert. The offensive of von Kleist Panzergroup resumed almost immediately, because I was like, okay, it's only July of 1942, and I would say operation, even not really operation, but I would say Case Blue, what was supposed to be the German offensive in the Caucasus now became the German offensive in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. And once again, as always, the idea was just trap as many units as possible to let's say weaken even more the Allies in the desert front. And actually, in retrospective, the fact that I think I counted 22 or 23 Allied divisions were annihilated in the battles around Iraq and French Syria was actually pretty good, because all those divisions that I would say perished in that area meant that I did not have to face them in my next offensive against Egypt or Saudi Arabia. Still, I did have some problems against Saudi Arabia. The Allies did try to counterattack against my lines. In a couple of times they were successful, but you know, it was like a tactical victory against a major strategic defeat, because even if the Allies managed to, let's say, push one of my motorized divisions into retreat, their flanks were just collapsing because of my Panzer and Panzergrenadier divisions just surrounding and enveloping and cutting off from their supplies all the leftovers of the British troops in Saudi Arabia. Against Egypt, the Allies, I noticed too late that did have a bunch of troops on the other side of the Suez Canal. They did also enjoy plenty of air superiority and air support, but despite all of this, I think that maybe the schwere Flakabteilungen, the heavy anti-aircraft batteries in my Panzer divisions, I think they might have done their job against the Royal Air Force, and they were simply, my Panzer divisions were simply no match for the few Allied troops defending the other side of the Suez Canal. And as always, you know, once you manage to establish a bridgehead on the other side of a river, or in this case of the Suez Canal, basically nothing could have stopped me. I did hold a bit the operations, I would say, west of the Suez Canal, because I was focusing my attention on the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, and also because I didn't want to spread out my troops too much, because yes, okay, the Allies were again building up on the Egyptian bridgehead, but I was like, okay, they can wait, they can build up their forces, let's clear now Saudi Arabia, and let's push deeper and deeper into India. And while the push into India was just carried out by the AI, as soon as you can see right now, as soon as the pocket in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula was completed and wiped out, I just hastily moved all of my units the units of von Kleist Panzergroup on the Egyptian bridgehead. I did also bring from Europe General Dolman's army, because I was like, yeah, I need more troops, as von Kleist simply on its own cannot deal with the whole African front. And yeah, as 1942 was coming to an end, I think it's also time to bring an end to an end this video. Short notice, the Americans intervened in the war. I did suffer my very first defeat west of El Alamein, but yeah, what's the problem of losing one battle when you're winning the whole war? Oh, that sounds very philosophical. Wow. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you very much for supporting the channel, and see you all in the next episode. Take care and see you soon.